The past ones are 45, 55, and 65. And the reason for the increasing prices is because I put in more in-text artwork. They're currently on sale. That sale ends at the end of the convention. So you can get a PDF for 18, 27 or $27, or you can get a physical copy for those prices, or you can order the collection, which is cheaper because I give a discount for ordering more than one book. Now, in the meantime, let's move into talking about fan fiction writing, because apparently I went from doing tons and tons of science panels to I would like to do fan fiction shenanigans. Thank you, Dasaki. But how to write fan fiction when you have no new material? Pony fan fiction without a pony show, which is why there's no image on this page. It seemed entirely appropriate to have nothing here. So, you guys already know who I am. I am Fiaura. I blow stuff up, and I've been doing full time on Twitch for over 10 years now. I have degrees in, I have an associate's in biology and a bachelor's in human sexuality from the University of Delaware, and I have a master's in human communication from the University of Rutgers. I could be your therapist tomorrow. I don't want to be. Don't ask me to be. It's not happening. We're going to talk about fan fiction, how to write it, and how to write it when you have nothing new coming out, and some general rules to apply. And then we're gonna have some Q&A, and then we're gonna be have a wonderful, wonderful time here at Ponies Online. Um, so why is fan fiction important? First thing, you can fill in blanks. Every single story has plot holes. Even Homer's The Odyssey has plot holes and has fan fiction. Homer's The Odyssey has fan fiction that's still published today. People read Homer's The Odyssey and write fan fiction about it. Story's 3,000 years old. Come on. Um, what were you expecting? There are simply things that are never covered. There are aspects of the world that are assumed. We're going to talk about that later, the difference between fact and lore. There are aspects of the world that are just taken for granted but never questioned. There are huge, arcing sections that are just dropped and left as hanging threads. Fan fiction lets us fill all of that stuff in. They allow us to dream. One last question. The bundle, can I put on hold? Oh, I don't know what you mean. Can you put on hold? You'll have to elaborate on that question. But I will answer you. Hey, little sis, how you doing? I want to say your name, and I'm not going to because that would be doxing. Um, they allow us to dream. They allow us to see things in our mind as we see them. They allow us to interpret the world and then share that interpretation with others. And then debate that interpretation. And then get mad at each other about that interpretation. And then get happy at each other about that interpretation. And then, they kissed. So I wrote a fan fiction about you guys getting mad about fan fiction while also coming to terms with the other person who you're mad at about fan fiction, and then I shipped you. Self-insert leads to self-actualization within a universe. You need to be able to insert yourself. One of the most gripping things a story can do is make you want to be in it. And how do you insert yourself? Well, there are ways to do it that are considered respectable, and there are ways to do it that are considered not respectable. Inserting yourself as a member of the crew of the Enterprise who is present at all of the major events and changes how they happen or influences Captain Kirk is unacceptable. You are attempting to change something that shouldn't be changed, but inserting, and I'll get to that in a moment, but inserting yourself as second officer of the USS Langfield in Star Trek, a ship that is on the registry but it never shows up in any show, perfectly acceptable. You have your own little place to play. to do things, to have fun with, and you're not altering the sequence of major events. Inserting yourself into Star Wars is easy because you can just insert yourself as Rebel Pilot number 27. Use Star Wars a lot because reasons. I grew up with Star Wars, it was a thing. The 20th anniversary remake was like a huge deal. Um, but you also have self-actualization of where would I be if the events that took place affected my life? Where would I be if I woke up as a pony? What would I do? What would be my cutie mark? What would be the thing that would make me special? You see where this is going. We're talking about OCs too. And we need to go past the end. Do you have any idea how often I read a story or watch a movie and it gets to the end of the movie and I go, then what happened? We need to go past that point. We need to go past the end. We need to go past the point where the story writer either ran out of room to keep going, ran out of money to keep going, or simply finished the story they wanted to tell. We need to know what happens afterwards. Tell me you're not one of those people. I have plenty of books, Patty. You can just wait until you have the money in a week or two. It'll still be there. Probably. Unless like I have like 20 sales today. Um, but yeah, FO3 fan base versus Broken Steel. Oh God, don't even get me started on that shit. Bad Adagio, bad. Trying to stay on topic. Um, Patty, send me a private message. I'll work something out with you just to make sure you get your books. Okay? We'll work something out. It is a science experiment, it's a creative act as well. Now we know why it's important. How do you continue to write and create when the story is over? That's a question. When you have no new material, when you have nothing coming out, there's no more Gen 5, there's no more Gen 4, there's no pony show right now, and there's no announcement of a new one to come. There's just the empty space. First method is using side characters. Characters that only showed up for one show. Characters, so we're going to define what a side character is. A side character are characters that only showed up for one show, occasionally showed up, or only showed up whenever the plot demanded it. An example, Shining Armor. What the hell is Shining Armor doing 95% of the time? Another example, Cadence. There, I said it. There's an Alicorn princess who's a side character. Don't judge me. Moon Dancer. One that I know someone is obsessed with. I don't talk to them anymore for a variety of reasons, but I know that they were obsessed with it at one point. Um, Lemon Drop. Named characters who are side characters, who are not involved with the main cast at all or very much, but have a story that has been told. That is a side character. Why would you want to make a story about them? Well, let's start with you may directly relate to them in a significant way. And that significant way results in you wanting to make something about that side character. You might really, 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 really be into, and I forget the pony's name, but it's the one with the artificial leg from the theater play. For some reason. You might really be into the goth version of Fluttershy. Go ahead. But you're taking a side character and you're writing a continuation of that plot point they were in. And it's because you feel that there's a story to be told. And we're going to get to how to do that. Just remember, you need to step back and remember you're telling a story about a character that's not as important to everyone else. Some people are going to jive with your story, and some people are going to be like, I don't like that character, and just move on immediately. You have chosen a side character. This is the cost. You cannot obsess about them or you freak people out because people think something's wrong with you when you get obsessive compulsive about a character. If I walk into your room and I see a blanket with a character on it, and then I see you have a docky with a character on it, and then I see you have posters with that character everywhere, I'm going to start to worry about your mental health a little bit. Just a tiny bit. You have to like diversify, show a diversity of interest. Like behind me right now, I got a Mimiku. That's the only Mimiku in my entire room. Down here, I've got my own character. I've got BattleTech minis. I got my favorite, my second favorite bird Pokemon right there. I wish I had my favorite. I don't. But you can see a variety of different interests behind me. That's to show that I'm not just obsessed with Fallout Equestria. I get inspiration from other places. There's a tick. There's a tick. Not the insect, but the superhero, the tick. There's a tick statue 20 feet from me right now that's not painted yet. I find him endearing. He's hilarious. Don't judge me. Um, how do you show reverence for existing lore on that character? You need to break down that character's different personality aspects, the different things about them that you know, and then figure out how to extrapolate them, both how that character got those personality pieces, how those personality pieces were changed by the episode they're in, and then figure out, am I writing from before that character was introduced or after their episode was done? Or after their comic was done. A good example of a side character is Tempest. Very popular character from the MLP movie for very good reason. She was a great villain. She got reformed. Do you want to write about before her reformation or after her reformation? You can't change the events of the movie and keep people interested. You have to assume that the episode the character was in is treated with the reverence of it existing, because without that episode or changing it fundamentally changes the character and will uninterest everyone. You have to assume that what is shown is set in stone, and what is not shown, you're allowed to have fluidity with. Now, let's talk about background characters. You get a lot more flexibility with those. Um, so what is a background character? A background character is a character that shows up that we have a name for, and that's it. They don't talk, they don't speak, they don't do anything. They just exist. Caramel is an excellent background character. I'm openly trans, bite me. Starts out, big stallion, comes in, depressed with femboy haircut, and really happy gal. That happened on screen. That happened on screen over the course of the season. Just a background character. You could write a whole story from these three images. I could write an entire novel from this about before they showed up in the show, the events that we see transpire on screen, which are extremely limited because they're a background character, and how she feels afterwards. Are there any rules for these characters? No. There are. Background characters, if you want to write fan fiction about them, just do whatever. They're a background character. There's nothing set in stone. There's no lore to work off of. There's no facts to work off of, except that they exist and they already have a name. The MLP trans pipeline is real. I know, right? You want me to hug the murder bird? Okay, final slate. Murder bird gets hugged. Murder bird. Those of you who don't know, we had a big thing with Pidgeot. It's here. So Final Sight bought me this little tiny official Pokemon Pidgey that we refer to kindly as the murder bird. It's not my favorite bird either. It's just one that I'm really upset that I still don't have on the Switch. Give me the original murder bird, Nintendo. Anyway, how do you avoid going off the deep end? You don't need to. I'm gonna be honest. Don't obsess about them, but you're allowed to write whatever you want because background characters don't have a deep end. They existed. That's it. Go ham. Do what you want. These are the characters you're allowed to do almost anything with except change the main plot lines. They can have their own stories off in the distance, away from the main story, and you can do whatever you want. As far as I'm concerned, Caramel is a resident of Rainbow Falls, and I go from there. Now, let's talk about OCs. Original character or official character. What's the difference? Oh boy. All right, so earlier in the first panel, I showed a slide that showed an original character I made and showed a I need a new Firefox window. Thank you. So, we're going to bring them both up real quick, and we're going to go over the different. That's not what I wanted. Come on, Google. I hate you too. We have problems. I want you to open this image. Thank you. And I want you to open this image. That'll work. So, what is the difference in an official character and an original character? Both of them are titled OC, by the way. So that just makes things even more confusing. So let me get things changed here so you guys can see these. That's it. So this is an original character. This is a character I created to write about. This character is often used in the MLP fandom to represent me. A lot of people have original characters. Your original character can also be your official character. This is the character that when, I show up at a pony convention gets put on screen. Even though this is not the character that is my official character. This is merely the original character that I write and that I have artwork drawn for within the MLP fandom. This is my official character. Official character is something that is truly unique to me. That you could not put this bird somewhere else and claim it was someone else. This bird is me. Period. End of story. This is my official character. An official character or caricature is a character whom you play or that represents you in a way that you cannot reference that character without referencing the person who it belongs to. An example of this is Ace Ventura by Jim Carrey. You cannot reference Ace Ventura and not immediately assume it's not Jim Carrey. Another great example of this is Genie from Aladdin. Genie from Aladdin, even when voiced by someone else, is assumed to be Robin Williams. A more modern example of this is Tyrion Lannister. Cannot separate Tyrion Lannister from his actor. You can't do it anymore. Even even R.R. Martin over there can't do it anymore. Another example of this is the different versions of Batman. You can put up 50 different versions of Batman. All of them are official DC characters, but each version of Batman cannot be separated from their actor. To a degree, that is an official character for that actor. So that's the difference that we're working with within our definition. And let me get everything changed back over. Did that automatically. Awesome. Thank you. Do nots for OCs. Let's see here. My Little Pony OCs. This is like a perfect diagram. This person who made this, I appreciate you beyond words. One, pick a species. There is no indication within My Little Pony that species can crossbreed without creating a new species. An example are hippogriffs. They're assumed to be from ponies and griffins. That's fair. And now they're their own species. But the point here is this. You cannot do that. You cannot have a pony who is a dragon, who is an alicorn. What is this? Coloration. Just please avoid red and black. Oh my god, just please. I mean, just avoid red and black. We'll be happy. Find colorations that are also pleasing to the eye and not colorations that hurt my brain, please. Um, any attempt to be edgy, like super edgy, like bat eyes, sharp teeth, like this list of things here. Don't do that. And you don't need a dark past. Trust me. You don't need it. This is just like the quintessential example of bad OC, period. Now we're going to get into some do's. Or we have more do nots. Do not write experiences for your OC that you do not have not at least interviewed people for. One of the most common experiences I see people make OCs for are military. Did you interview people from the military? No? Then you shouldn't be writing them. You shouldn't do it. If you did not interview people from the military at the very minimum or have experience in the military, don't write it. If you didn't interview a doctor, why are you writing a hospital drama? If you didn't interview a nurse, why are you writing a nurse drama? If you didn't interview a professor, why are you writing a teacher? Try to write from your own experience or your best experiences, or interview people from those experiences. Try to create a layer of, I talked to a person. If your backstory is more interesting than the story you're writing, write the backstory. I have had 4 people come up to me and give me this detailed, amazing backstory. And then hand me the actual story they're writing with that character's backstory, and I go, I want you to write the backstory as your main story. Because what you're writing for your main story is bad. Please do not write these elaborate, over-the-top backstories. You don't need to do that. If your backstory is that elaborate, write the backstory. The way I write Fallout Equestria Dead Tree is I didn't give the character's backstory except in little pieces here and there when it was relevant to the current story. That made it more interesting and compelling. I had a guy send me a story of his Pegasi who beat up a dragon that destroyed the military outpost he was at. And then, after he got his medals and his hero's promotion and everything, he was transferred to be in charge of a military group of misfits who were considered the dumping ground for the people in the equestrian military who the military doesn't want. I'm sorry, you said he was given a medal, a hero's visage, and is the star of your current army, but you're going to assign him to be in charge of a company of misfits that no one wants? That's not how the military works, Sonny. Usually, the commanding officers of those outfits are in dead end careers because they have screwed up somewhere on the political ladder with someone else in the military and someone who doesn't like them put them there. He didn't do that in your backstory. Write his backstory. Write his backstory as the main story. It will be more interesting. I call this person out every time because a bunch of people came to White Knight for him when I gave him a, not great review. And I'm like, you asked me to review this. I'm not going to lie about it. That would be dishonest to my audience. And he took my review, the review he did in return for me, down because it was a good review, and he was expecting me to give him a glowing review even if I didn't like his story. No, I have integrity. I'm okay with you taking down that review. It's fine. I'm not okay with everybody coming to White Knight at me for what I wrote, when what I wrote was honesty. And don't take your OC too seriously. My God. I see people take their OC way too seriously. Don't. Just write it. Have fun with it. Make something cool and interesting. But when people make fun of it or pick at you or make jokes, own the joke. Green is not a creative color. My horse is green. Own the joke. Just be happy that people are telling jokes at your expense because it means they at least like you. In most cases, unless they're being a bully. Own the joke. Have fun with it. Go ham with it. Be silly. It's okay. And you need a dose of humor in your life anyway. Yes, of using an OC. Your setting is an alternate reality. Make sure the reality is different enough. What do I mean by that? Make sure the alternate reality you are creating is different enough that it needs to have OCs and you can't and that your OC is not an insert of another character. Your OC needs to be in an alternate reality like Fallout Equestria needs to be so different. The reality needs to be so divorced from what actually happened that you can no longer link the two back together after a certain point. You can't change one little thing. You have to change the whole world all at once. Um, never, ever, 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 ever. That's five. Is that enough? Ever six, just in case. Um, use long-winded narration to explain anything, especially when using an OC. Also, never use the phrase as you know. Anytime I see a movie use the phrase as you know, I look at it and go, wow, the writer is bad. Because if you have to use that phrase, you messed up. Looking at you. Don't use as you know. Don't do it. Use contextual conversation. Explain things as they come up. Make it where the characters know about this thing, and the ones who don't, they're explaining it to the one who doesn't. They're not explaining it for the sake of the audience. They're explaining it because a real world event has caused them to need to explain it, or they're thinking about it and going through the steps and everything and the causes and the why, because an event to them that is very real is happening in this moment and they need to stop and walk themselves through it. We do this all the time. You're working on a house, measure twice, cut once. You're going to measure twice. And then you're going to go, why am I measuring twice? Because if if I have to cut twice, I messed up. And if I cut too much on the once, I can't undo it. That's your process. That's the process in your head. Let that go. Make sure your OC is the same power level as your universe, or the universe is bigger, and the problem of that universe is stronger than your OC. Dragon Ball Z and Frieza. Good example. Keep your OCs on the same level as the universe. Unless you're writing Superman. Congratulations, you're writing Superman, by the way. You're writing the poster boy. You're writing the Boy Scout. Cool. Try to keep your OC in the same dynamical range as the world around them. You can't, if you have an OC who's too powerful, you need to recognize, wait a minute, if you have an OC that has all of the powers, well, why the hell is this a problem in the first place if they have all of the powers? And any power they do have needs to be earned in your story. It needs to be done as a part of the story. Even their cutie mark for an OC should be explained as a part of your story. Every single thing a person has a story behind it. What is that story? How did they get it? Why did they keep it? Those are 3 questions you need to answer when looking at a power level of something. OCs are supposed to be imperfect. They're supposed to evolve and change through experience. But that's why you wrote the OC in the first place. You made an imperfect being. The imperfect being is going to make mistakes. The imperfect being is not going to be prepared for everything. The imperfect being is going to have things go wrong. It is how they overcome the things that go wrong, even in a slice of life story, that makes the story worthy to be read. Bear that in mind. Keep that in your forethoughts with everything you write. Don't let that go. Don't let that be something. Yeah, unless you're One Punch Man. I agree, Fatty. One Punch Man does that. Don't let that be something that you easily discard. And don't defend your OC's choices. Just accept that you made them. Not everyone's going to be happy. Accept it. Accept your death of the author with grace and understanding. All right, we're going to go over facts and lore. What is lore? Lore is assumed things of the universe. These are things that are not explicitly spelled out. You can bend lore. You can change lore. You can explain lore. You can do things with lore to expand upon it to make it feel factual. You can have fun with lore. Lore is something you are allowed to replace, change, alter, or otherwise create something different with. This is what this image on here. Watch you being a bitch. We don't actually know the reason why they eventually turned on each other and had the big fight. Fill it in. Lore is the parts where fanfiction can be filled in. Contradicting fact, on the other hand, don't do it. Can you challenge fact? Sometimes. All the things on the right are not fact, but they are fun. Should you challenge fact? Only if you can prove through other documented means that your challenge to the fact has validity. If you can do that by linking together the other facts around the one you're challenging, you can challenge fact. Fact is anything we see for sure. Fact is, Tempest was a villain in the MLP movie who brought Equestria to its knees and reformed as an act that should have been her last and was saved instead. Because the Storm King's dead. They didn't make any, like, you saw a live death on screen. MLP go hard. Writing for an audience of one. Write what you want to write. Write for you. Write for what makes you happy. This is how you write and how you keep writing. You will also be your worst critic. Every writer has imposter syndrome. You're going to find it. I fight it constantly. Every other writer I've ever talked to continuously fights our own imposter syndrome. We constantly question all the decisions we've made, everything we've ever written. It happens. I am my worst critic. I am the person who will beat myself up the most. But what the story I write is for me first. If I am unhappy with the story, I will not be happy when I hand it to others. If I am compromising with myself to become content, then I will be happy when I hand it to others. You need to write for you first. Don't write for what other people want. Write for you. Now let's talk about writing for an audience of 1,000,000. You're going to get criticism for everything you write, everything you do, or however you do it. You're going to get questions you didn't think about. You're going to find you wrote your own plot holes. There's so many things. Let the criticism go sometimes. If a person is engaging with you respectfully, respond. If a person is engaging with you in a disrespectful manner, ignore it and move on. You didn't write it for them, you wrote it for you first, clearly. Remind your audience from time to time as well that writers subsist on comments. Like, leaving any comment for a writer is our cocaine. I hate to use a drug reference, but that's the best thing I can describe it as. It is absolutely the one thing that keeps me awake, that keeps me wanting to write more. Comment, please, dear God. I see so many people read entire stories and not say a word, and I think to myself they hated it. Even if your only comment is, good job. If you wrote something and you're not willing to tell people about it, who is? No one. That's your answer. You need to be willing to tell about your own story. You need to be willing to talk about it, self-advertisement, and you need to realize when self-advertisement is too much. Shameless promotion is a must for a writer, but you need to realize when is an appropriate time and when is not, when to reel it back, and you can only do that through experimentation and experience. But if you're not willing to talk about your work, your fans certainly won't be either. Rant, rave, and go off the deep end sometimes. Reference your work in conversation. When I wrote this, here's how I did it. That's fine. Do it. It's okay. A lot of people be like, that's cringe. Own your cringe, sir. Until it becomes uncringe to you. How do you think book authors get successful? Do you think we just quietly sit in the corner, write stories, and put them up, and then people just come around, just stumble across them? No, that does not happen. It happens because somebody was willing to talk about it. And you need to be willing to talk about your own story. Now, this is a shorter panel because I have a lot more time for questions. In this case, you have about 15 minutes left with me, so hit me. Because I imagine you guys have some writing questions, or I hope you guys have some writing questions to ask me. But in the meantime, again, here's all my links. Let me exit slideshow mode, actually. And are we still capturing appropriately? Yes. Cool. Here's all of my links. Please do come and... Oh, dear God. Let me Control Z that. Because that was awful to look at, and I apologize. Can you say how many books you've sold in the past? Yes. I can, actually. Let me open a separate window here. I'm opening a separate window because this is going to have personal information on it. But I can actually look it up because I can see how many I've printed in the past, like total. Because I've printed them all from the same place, and therefore they have all of my previous orders. And I can see exactly, if assuming I remember my password. Nope. Yep, there it was. Uh, okay, we don't have 2 pages yet. That gave me a heart attack there for a second. I need the calculator here, honey. So I have 125 plus 125. That's 250 plus 100 plus 125 plus 125 plus 50 plus 50 plus a full print here and a full print there. And then a full printing here and a partial, 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 and a full print there, and a partial printing here of that. And then I subtract what's currently in stock. I have sold 1,674 books in total between all 4 of the books I published. That's physical copies, not PDFs. And I know I've sold over 1,000 PDFs, so round up to about 3 grand worth of books sold between PDFs and printed copies. Do you disagree or agree with Dave Melanie on the idea of retelling stories? I okay, I'm gonna have to look this up because you've asked a question about something I don't know. Dave Melanie retelling.
Fiaura, are you meant to be speaking? Because we can't hear you on our end. Can people hear me? I can, and we can't hear you. Okay, so there's some sort of audio issue. Hold on. Oh,
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1
right.
2.
Yeah, working now.
Okay. It switched to a microphone that's off, and that's not helpful. Sorry about that. How long have you guys not been able to hear me? Oh, 2 minutes. That's fine. Yeah, so I agree to disagree with Dave Maloney. Melanie. I agree that some stories need to be retold over and over again because retelling the story and a reimagining of the story is a good idea. I disagree in the fact that they should be told more than once a generation. Did you have a choice look of your character? How did you end up with the result you have now? So I have in my hand So I have in my hand an artifact. This is my original Fallout Equestria character sheet for Wandering Sunrise. Throat color, pearl white. Main color, sunrise yellow. Tail color, bright orange. Cutie mark, blank. Eyes, ruby. Now this might just be me. And my looking at this. But none of those color features I just described seem to have made it to the final iteration here. I'm just saying. No, I didn't get a choice. Because this was the character sheet I handed the GM. And that's the coloration I got back when they handed it back to me. And he nor I know what happened. Neither of us know how this happened. We suspect his girlfriend had something to do with it. And that she wrote what Sunrise was colored like. We don't know Final Sight. We don't know. I handed him one character sheet. He handed me back a different one. Neither of us noticed it had been changed until I went to get artwork done. But yeah, this is the original handwritten Wandering Sunrise character sheet that I keep in my desk as proof that she was not green when I wrote her. I don't know how this happened. Any other questions before we wrap up here? Because I know I'm almost out of time. Uh, okay. Um, so I'm gonna show you guys a couple of things real quick. I hope that nothing horrible happens when I'm opening these. So my original story here, There Be Dragons, Furries in Space, Post-Human. It's being published on Fanfiction. Next chapter is supposed to come out today. It was supposed to come out yesterday, but that didn't happen for a interesting reason that I won't get into right now. And then I have this new story that I just started publishing on the side. Already has 8 comments. I am doing a giveaway for the end of the month for the best comment. But this is a story of a different tabletop game that I'm playing off stream, where I am playing a sentient chocobo, and this is her story. Hope you enjoy. Um, Lastly, over here on Twitch, stream within a stream within a stream. Do the math on that one. Uh, this is where I make my income. If people don't show up and watch me on Twitch, I don't make any money, and I have to eat ramen and have a bad time. So please do show if you want to follow me, please do come over on Twitch. I do video games, I do painting. We're sitting here and paint a miniature, and I do tabletop games on Twitch. Like actual like tabletop games where I invite the members of the audience audition to be on the tabletop group, and then we run the game until it gets unpopular, and then we move on to the next game. That's just what I do. Um, Battle ready chicken. I approve, Patty. I approve. The battle chicken is amazing. If I had my main computer here, I would have to go on Google Drive and risk other problems because my Google Drive doesn't have has my Google Drive has everything. That includes the not safe for work fan art that I get. You have no idea how weird it is to get not safe for work fan art even today. Please do not search my character Wandering Sunrise. I think that just popped up on Twitch and I am so fucking sorry. Let's go to webcam. That's a problem, and I'm gonna get doxxed for it on Twitch, and that is a problem. What the hell? Deactivate, reactivate. Or okay. Um, I forgot the Fur Affinity has that kind of stuff on it. That's on my part on Twitch. I will get yelled at for that later. That was a genuine mistake. Um, I just did a habit where I just click on things, and I'm glad you guys didn't say it over here in Discord. Yeah, I stopped streaming on Discord and forgot to switch it over on Twitch. That's on me. Glad nobody saw it. But yeah, no, it's just this is how life is. Um, People make mistakes. I'm sorry about that. In the meantime, uh, I write for a living. This is what I want to do. I want to write for a living. I want to make stories. I want to make people happy. I want to make people enjoy their life. Um, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I had a chance to be a professor at a university. I was on tenure track and I gave it up because it sucked and it's not what I wanted. But I will have the last Fallout Equestria parts of my story finished by June at the latest, and then we will be moving on and to the next Here There Be Dragon story, which is the last thing I wanted to announce here. I am looking for artists. I need artists who I can hire. And the reason why is a tragedy. Two of my artists have disappeared off the face of the earth. I suspect it's because of the Ukraine war. Because one of them was a refugee in Georgia, the country of Georgia, and another one was a political prisoner in Belarus who I was still hiring and paying. This is the last piece of artwork I received from Fody. It is the cover for my second Here There Be Dragons book. And it's called The Rights of Blips and Cogs. A blip being a person who was genetically engineered and cloned for a specific purpose, and a cog being an artificial being. And it has become incredibly relevant in today's society for reasons that should be obvious to those of you who've kept up with any LGBT news in the last 6 months. And I'm a big T and a big B in that sentence. So this I'm hoping to have out in December. And I'm never again writing two novels at once because I thought I could do it and it took 2 years. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all had fun. My private messages are open. That means you don't have to send me a friend request. You just send me a message. I will get it. So long as we share a server, you can message me. It's fine. You can't send me links unless we're friends, but you can message me normally and it's fine. If you have a question you did not want to ask during the panels plural, or a question I didn't get to or something else, send it to me. I'll work it out with you. I know I have to work out with Patty getting a pricing situation for them for books. If there's anyone else who needs something from me, I'm open and here. I will hopefully um I'm just gonna put the VOD into unlisted mode, and then I'm going to move it over and edit it before I move it over because that's gonna be my best bet. In the meantime, everybody take care of each other and be safe and be wonderful to each other. Over here on Twitch, I'm going to show the new cover, and therefore, this is the first time anyone has seen either of these covers outside my Patreon. But here's the last piece of art I got from Fody, and I haven't been able to talk to him, and I'm worried about him. So if somebody's heard from a man named By Fody on Twitter, Blue Sky, Discord, any of those things, please let me know because I'm genuinely worried about him. But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you've had a good time, and I hope you found me to be a good community guest. And I hope to see all of you next month when I make the transition to VTuber, because that's in progress right now. In the meantime, good morning, everyone. Normally I'd say good night, but this is good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna go eat breakfast.